Hello, and welcome to the Vergecast, the flagship podcast of TheVerge.com.
That's right.
It's January 28th. You might notice a different vibe to the show, a different energy, a different frisson. But that's because we're in a different room today. There's a big
Can you spell
MMA.
frisson?
Frisson. It's a French word.
Okay.
It means excitement.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. Or it means like rubbing yourself against stuff.
I think,
No, that's
A sudden
frottage.
strong feeling of
That's frottage.
excitement or fear, a thrill.
A thrill. You might feel a thrill in the air today. A frisson. So you learn something every day in the Vergecast. But here's why that you might feel that. We are physically in a different space.
Yep.
There's a big MMA press conference at our usual time, so we let the SB Nation people take over our usual studio for that. We're in a different, smaller studio. This is actually when we rebooted the Vergecast. This is the studio we started in. But Nicola is closer to us, physically closer to us.
Yeah.
This fake plant encroaches ever closer to our
Everything's
space.
getting smaller.
And then we're also virtually located because Lauren Goode is here. Hey, how's it going?
Hi, guys. Hi, guys.
There's two of Lauren. She's echoing. But that's cool. We'll just live with that. Anyway, we're here. Dieter's here as always.
I am always here.
And I am your friend, Nilay Patel. I'm in a mood.
It's been a week.
It's been a week. It's been a busy, crazy week. There's news breaking left and right. There's stuff happening. I'm angry about the FCC. That's my favorite thing. It is. It just is. But there's all kinds of stuff. Apple had a week.
Yep.
Everybody was doing stuff, running around. It was one of those. There's huge news to announce, which is that Racked is moving from the 10th floor of our office to the 9th floor of our office to sit next to the Verge.
It's absolutely huge.
So Operation Figurehead,
yeah.
that's a move.
Do you know I was offered a few seat options, and I very strategically chose my seat so that I have a view of the entire room from the corner, but not all the way in the corner. But I can see everything that's
I know
going
which seat
on.
you picked.
Yeah.
I can tell.
That's it. You picked the power seat. So if somebody walks in and tries to
Someone was
kill
like,
you.
"Oh, do you want to sit? You could sit back to back with Dieter and Nilay." No, I want to sit looking out on everyone. This is a long game.
I'd like to gaze upon all of you.
The important
I'll be
thing
watching.
about this move is, the Verge Video team is sitting out with us now. Racked is coming in. We've got other moves that are happening. For the 2 years that I lived in New York, the 9th floor was like the bummer floor, and the 10th floor was the cool, fun floor. We're taking that.
Yeah.
9th
Yeah.
floor, listen up, Vox Media, 9th floor forever. Lauren,
10th
how
floor
are you?
is getting really sad, but we don't have to talk about that now.
All right. Lauren, good. How are your floors?
This all makes me very heartsick for New York, guys. So have fun, and we'll just keep on keeping on in San Francisco with Super Bowl City now having taken over pretty much every area of either office that we work out of.
Yeah, what's the scene with Super Bowl stuff? I know that all the big tech companies are kind of actually trying to pay attention to football this year.
Yeah, well, commute-wise, it's really not very fun. Part of Market Street has been shut down and other areas. But yeah, I mean, I guess there are a lot of sponsorships going on. Visa, for example, in one of the buildings that we work out of, they've wallpapered the elevators with Visa.
Just in a random office building?
It's going to be kind of a boon for companies like Uber and Lyft as well.
Yeah.
Search
All right.
pricing is going to be 18x.
Oh my God. I keep sending Casey the thirstiest pitches I get about the Super Bowl. The last one I got was there's a Playboy party where they're reinventing Playboy with a hallway that you can walk down that takes you from the beginning of Playboy to the end of Playboy. And at the end,
It's just articles.
they just showed you. Yeah, now it's just articles. It's the articles in a tablet with Chrome loaded in private mode. But at the end, there was this email. There's a list of famous people who've been at the party in the past, and it was just the saddest. I don't want to call out any famous people, but
We don't want to hurt their
I'm
feelings.
just saying.
Is that the Super Bowl itself is happening about 40 miles south of where a lot of these parties and party tents are being put up right now.
yeah.
So I kind of imagine it's going to be this reality check for some people who fly out here and then they're in Santa Clara and they're oh, we're in Santa Clara, kind of like Wayne's World, we're in Delaware,
What is Santa Clara like?
It's a lot of corporate office parks, and it's sunny. It's the heart of Silicon Valley, but it's a lot of fun going on there, I guess.
Yeah.
And there's
Silicon
cities
Valley.
now, so.
I think people think Silicon Valley is San Francisco, and it's not, right? Silicon Valley is terrible office parks.
I want to go there.
Let's send you down there
Someone take me.
today.
Yeah,
This
you can come visit me.
That would be
in
great.
Silicon Valley, and and then we can go around and you can have just a field day critiquing fashion.
I did learn how to ride a hoverboard yesterday.
That's it. The transformation has begun.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got to get into news.
Yeah.
Let's start with Apple, I guess. We got to start with Apple. Elephant in the room. And we'll save FCC for the middle. But Apple had a big money day. Is that what earnings are? No, Apple announced its earnings. They made more money than any company has made in a quarter in history.
Whoa.
Made a bunch of money. $18.4 billion, which is bonkers. Even their small businesses are huge. Like Walt loves to remind me that just the $5 billion they make a quarter on the Mac is enough to put them in the Fortune 115. They're just a huge company. But the story is not that they made a bunch of money or sold more iPhones. It's that next quarter they're not going to sell more iPhones for the first time ever. And their iPad sales are down and the Mac sales are down. And they, Lauren, did you listen to the call? Dieter and I are both listening to the call.
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you catch the same sense of defensiveness on the call?
No, I caught a sense of maybe some intentional negativity to sort of set expectations. Well, first of all, the first part of it was a lot of macroeconomic talk, and if you don't have a degree in macroeconomics, you may have, found it confusing. Not saying that I did or anything, but there's a lot of talk about currencies and softness in China and things like that. And then throughout, even as Apple CEO Tim Cook was going through some of their great metrics and things that they've sold, it did seem like he was maybe trying to temper some excitement a little bit for the first quarter of the year. That's the sense that I got.
Do you think that they're just done selling more iPhones than ever? Is it just flat now? I mean, that's the question. It's the only question that matters.
Wait, how many iPhones did they sell? It was 75 million?
Yeah, 75.
Isn't 75 million iPhones in a quarter flat, not bad? Sorry, Lauren.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that's kind of the ridiculous thing is that I think expectations were that it was going to be around 75 million, maybe a little over, and it ended up being 74.8. And so that's people were bummed out, and it's absurd to think about because it's so many iPhones. But you had a point. I'm sorry.
That was my point. And
wait, I have a question.
If this is peak iPhone, okay.
Yeah.
What is this?
Fine.
What this means is that does this mean that everyone has an iPhone and everyone has them and there's no one else left to get them, and also people are starting to creep away from the iPhone? Is that what this is?
Apple says that they had more Android switchers than ever, and that they do a better job of making iPhone customers stay iPhone customers and not losing them to Android. I think what it means is that all of the obvious ways that Apple has to expand market share and get more people to buy iPhones, they're starting to run out of those. At some point, there's just nobody else to buy an iPhone. When every person on the planet has an iPhone, they can't sell anymore.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're well short of that.
Yes.
A little bit. But everybody that can afford an iPhone, that has good plans in their country, they're it just gets harder the more you sell. Eventually, there's no obvious way to get a whole new set of customers. And everybody was assuming that China was going to be the thing that kept this engine of record huge selling numbers, record growth year over year, quarter over quarter. They just keep on selling more and it never ends. Everybody assumed China was going to just put that shot in the arm and keep that going. And it seems especially because China's economy is apparently not doing all that well, that's not giving them their fifth wind. They're just sort of they're going to be flat, selling more phones than anybody else on the planet by a factor of 2 or 5.
Yeah, I mean, they're enormously successful. I think that, this is my pet theory, but I think that they spent that year or 2 years promising big new products because everyone was afraid of this moment. And there was all the doubt around, can they put out a big new product because this moment is coming? They put out a bunch of new products last year, and then this moment came.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bunch of stuff that's all wrapped up into. I think that's that tone I was hearing was we have a bunch of new products. They're gonna figure themselves out. We're gonna be fine. They were our services make $31 billion a year all on their own.
Yeah, they talked a lot about services.
Right, because if you have everybody in the world with an iPhone and they're all spending some kind of money in Apple, that's a happy thing. But I was talking to I was on CNBC yesterday talking about this, and John Fort from CNBC was there, and he was like, there's a big difference between a subscription customer who's like a recurring subscription customer and your base of people who just have iPhones spending some money sometimes. And like Apple isn't making that distinction. You just checked your smartwatch in my face.
Yep.
Like super in my face.
Yep.
This is ridiculous.
Sorry.
Our culture is doomed.
I saw an Apple Watch at a cool bar last night.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Was it like the Vergecast conference room?
No, it was
What was a
out
cool
in
bar?
Bushwick.
What was a cool bar?
Well, it was in Bushwick. I'm not going to reveal my sources.
Oh, so you don't want people to find you in a cool bar. It's a cool bar because Nicola, nobody knows about it yet.
But I saw one in the wild because every time I see one in the wild in a cool place, I'm like, oh, there's one.
Yeah. I see them all the time now. I really do. I see them much more often than
I started seeing them more once they went on sale at Best Buy.
Yeah.
TBQH.
Yeah.
Like as soon as that happened, I started to notice them on people.
Yeah, it's like the Galaxy Gear. There's a minute when like everybody had a Galaxy
That
Gear.
is not true.
Super true.
Not true. At all.
Actually, at the Code Conference, Lauren, did I tell you this story? We were probably really busy, like sneaking around and pretending we didn't know each other at the Code Conference because that's when we were like Vox was buying Recode. So I was like, "Who's that? I'd like to work with her someday," but nah, probably not. That was basically how I treated Recode. But anyway,
Lauren, does this match your memory?
it was clandestine. They made me meet them. Walt and Lauren made me meet them for breakfast, but I had to drive my own car. We couldn't go together because somebody might suspect something.
Wow, I love that.
That's a fact. Anyhow, but we were at the Code Conference, and all the parking valets had Galaxy Gears, and they were super into them because they like run around all day. And they'd all gotten them for free with their phones because Samsung was giving them out.
Yeah, I was going to say, did they just get them? Because buying something and just getting something is different.
Yeah, right.
Choosing and being given.
Facts from Fumo. No, but I mean, look.
So
What was your big read?
My big read. I mean, the big read is if iPhone sales stay flat, like I don't like people are going to freak out about the stock, but like I don't think it has huge repercussions for the future of Apple, right? Like the iPhone is what it is. It's a known entity. At some point, we know it's going to plateau, and that's fine. The bigger question is the black box. Like in order to understand what Apple's like future finances and like business look like, you need to become a Kremlinologist because all of their most interesting products are bundled up in other products. So the iPad Pro is bundled up with the other iPads, which are selling like garbage. But maybe there'll be an iPad 3 to come soon. The Apple TV and the Apple Watch are also bundled up in other. And so all the stuff that like are the big bets for like future platforms are things that you can't judge like on their own separately from what Apple tells you. You just kind of have to like hope you can figure out from analysts what the sales numbers are and how much money they're making off of it. So like the story of like Apple's quarterly earnings and the record profits or whatever, if that's like not going to be like crazy rocket ship all the time, like that doesn't affect the way that tech is in culture. 75 million iPhones in a quarter is a shit ton of iPhones, and that doesn't change anything if it doesn't become 80 and 85 and 90.
So here's my question, and I think this is their hardest problem. It's what you're talking about. They're the default now, right? You buy a phone, you're buying an iPhone. A lot of people, if you're going to buy an expensive laptop, you're going to buy a MacBook. I mean, they have dominant market share of expensive laptops. They still sell a ton of iPads, although not more iPads every year, right? Like they are the default for a lot of people in a weird way. What happens when a whole generation of kids grows up and Apple isn't the company that like reinvents things as the upstart, but they're the default? Like, how does Apple stay cool in that scenario? That's like the
new
hardest.
colors of the Apple Watch and the Milanese watch band.
Nicola, do you think Apple is like the default, or are they like the upstart?
I think that, I think it's people's like default.
Right. Isn't that the problem? Like, that's a great business to be in, is the default of everything, but like so much of their brand is predicated on being the upstart.
Yeah, and also like if you're the default, then you're not like the cool thing because you're the everything.
Right.
And you can't be the everything and be the cool thing.
But you can be the everything and rich. And I think like it's just weird because if you look at a really macro level, they've been hedging against it this whole time by hiring all these fashion people and like building these really expensive watches and like trying to cultivate this air of exclusivity around some of the stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like pulling out like micro areas within mass things to make exclusive.
Right. It's just weird. It's just like I grew up and Apple was the upstart, and like being an Apple fan was like the renegade thing to do because Windows was the default thing.
Yeah.
and then now it's like the iPhone is the default thing. And I'm actually really curious. Like, that changes their entire aspect. Like, Steve Jobs got the iTunes Music Store through the labels because the Mac had no market share, and he could be like, try this out with me, because I want to prove that I can change the world of music, but if it fails, it'll only fail on the Mac. It'll only fail on the Mac, and we only have 5% market share, so it won't matter. And they're like, yeah, we can do it. And then you like change the world, but now they're the default, and they're going to the TV companies and saying, give us a deal for the Apple TV, and the TV companies are like, no, you're huge, no, like pay us.
Yeah,
and it's just the whole thing feels inverted. Like, that is the thing. They made a bunch of money. They're gonna make a bunch of money. The company will be fine. They have like $216 billion in the bank. Like, they can literally just last. Like, Apple can just ride it out for like 1,000,000 years. They'll be fine. Like, it's like literally 1,000,000 years at their rate. But I don't think they want to just be fine, right? I think they want to continue to be the most important kind of like tech company out there. And this shift where suddenly all the people who have iPhones, that's the one that changes their place in the culture.
right.
At least, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But
Well, like you wrote the divergence column where like the app on the phone is no longer the thing that like changes everything, right? It's no longer the most exciting thing. So at the same time that everybody who's going to get an iPhone has an iPhone, the stuff that you do with an iPhone has gone from like being holy crap, Ubers are amazing, everything's different, to like, we're kind of out of ideas for how to like blow up the world with a new app on a phone, and we're going to like look at some other stuff. So like, and then all of Apple's big bets, the watch, the TV, and the iPad Pro from the last year, like none of them like grabbed culture.
Yeah,
right?
nothing's amazing.
And Apple Music hasn't grabbed culture. Beats One radio is like interesting for a while, but I don't know, like it's not changing things. And so I don't know if until the cars start coming out, I don't know that we're gonna have another like huge radical change. And like Apple is gonna like slowly make stuff better, slowly like become dominant in one of these other platforms, probably TV, which we're going to get to pretty soon with the SEC. It's exciting. I'm pointing at this guy, Mr. Patel, who's just sitting here quivering. I can feel the energy radiating off of him, how excited he is to talk about TV policy. But like, I guess like if Apple doesn't have another like change the culture revolutionary moment in the next 5 years, okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like that doesn't. They don't have to be the only company to do that. And maybe there's not one of those moments in technology in the next 5 years and like the radical change, unless it's VR, which by the way Tim Cook says is really interesting.
So I think it's VR. To be honest with you, I think that's the moment. Like I think people in headsets is going to be a thing.
Yep.
And like that, they're not part of that game except for you can buy a plastic.
It's an area of intense interest. Okay, no, that's not precisely what he said.
He said it's. Gene Munster asked him on the call.
Oh God, can we Gene Munster?
My boy Gene.
I'm so happy. So there's this analyst named Gene Munster who, for 15 years, every time there was an Apple earnings call, they'd give him a question, and he'd get on and be like, "So, how about that Apple TV? You gonna make a TV? What's going on with the TV? Tell me about the TV." Every 3 months for literally 10 years.
It's amazing.
So Apple finally, like 6 months ago, was like, we're not going to do it. Just stop. Like we're making this box. This is our bet. And all of a sudden, Gene Munster couldn't ask about TVs anymore. And everybody, I was really sad for him.
Like they shut Munster down, basically.
Yeah, basically. But this quarter, he came and he asked about VR.
Right.
And so now he has another thing.
He's in the game
that he can ask about every quarter.
Love. He found a new.
It's great.
But
I like his attitude.
Yeah.
I mean, he was like, "So tell me about that TV," and I'd be like, "No."
Persistent.
But like he's an analyst, like he controls a lot of money, so he gets to go visit Apple and like ask about the TV in private. But he also insisted on doing it on these calls in public, which is amazing.
Yeah.
It's really amazing.
Anyhow, but
so he asked about VR, and Cook's answer was, in terms of VR, I don't think it's a niche. It's really cool, and it has some interesting applications.
Yeah, but I mean, he's just happy because people are buying cardboards or whatever and sticking iPhones in them. I don't know. I do think it's. I mean, it's going to be the next thing. I think about it this way. It's like, what's going to be in the local news? Like, what tech story is going to hit the local news in the Midwest? Like, that's the next thing everyone's going to talk about. And the next thing that's going to hit the local news is Oculus launching and people in headsets in the local news forever. Okay, as you might have noticed, Lauren has disappeared.
Yeah,
so
the internet is the worst.
We just have to drop the stream for a second.
A second.
And then we're going to come back and we're going to have Lauren with us.
Maybe 3 seconds. You know what? It could be Chuck Woolery 2 and 2. So just hang on.
Just hold on. Hold
And
tight.
look up Chuck Woolery 2 and 2 because you have no idea what that means because you're probably a millennial.
Yeah, this is your time. This is your time to Google.
And that is how we made a love connection.
Oh, that's my favorite story. Every time it gets better and
That's so
better and better. So we're back. Lauren, are you here?
I'm here. Hi, guys.
Hey!
So for the YouTube audience, which I'm told has been furiously chatting with Nicola.
Oh, we're here. It's good. I got blocked from writing because I was writing too many messages.
Oh my God. You hit the YouTube limit?
Yeah.
That's impossible.
I did it.
All
I
right.
think you're a troll.
Well, for the YouTube audience, here's what I want you to know. You guys just participated in something very special because we're cutting all of that out of the fucking final edit, including that F-bomb. Really, this is just a fucking F-bomb zone. Anything you want to say right now goes. But
Free space.
it was an inside job. No, just nonsense. All of this is getting cut out.
You want to say? Okay.
No, it's like anything goes. It's like literally crazy stuff. The Earth is flat. Screw you, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Anyway, we're cutting this all out.
We should start a beef with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
No, he will never stop tweeting at us. Anyway, for the YouTubers, thank you for holding on. Lauren is back. I'm very happy about that. All this is going to cut out.
Hold on, guys. I'm text messaging Walt Mossberg pictures of my cat. I'll be right there.
Wait, okay.
What I like best about Lauren is her sense of priority and just really focusing on what's important at any given moment. Anyway, Lauren's back. We're going to just pick up the show like it never stopped.
Yeah.
Lauren, just so you know, the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, so Lauren, do you think Apple can be the cool company even though they're not the default product? And you're just going to answer like you were part of that whole conversation. You ready for that?
The default product?
Yeah, like what we were talking about is can a whole generation of kids who grow up with Apple as like the default in their lives, the way that I grew up with Microsoft as the default, will they think Apple's the cool company or are they going to look for another upstart company? That's my big, like if you're already selling as many iPhones as you can sell, you've become the default. So I'm going to ask you that question and you're going to answer and we're going to pretend nothing bad ever happened. The YouTubers will know a secret.
Don't tell.
Or they're just going to keep talking to Nicola furiously.
The magic of production.
The magic of podcast production.
I'm letting them know right now just how much of an inside look this is.
All right, so Lauren, I'm gonna ask you that question. Andrew's gonna pick
Okay.
up the edit right there, and we're just gonna pretend nothing ever happened. You ready? I don't know, Lauren. Do you think that Apple can be the cool company even though the iPhone's kind of like the default product and it's what everybody's used to?
I actually think it's less of a generational question than it is maybe a geographical one. We know that Apple has been really pushing iPhone in China, and despite the softness, the economic softness there, I think that they're probably still doing an okay job of that. I think they mentioned in the earnings call yesterday that India is one of the fastest growing countries for them, and it's certainly the fastest growing BRIC country for them in terms of people buying iPhones there. So I think it's more like if iPhone is always going to be this premium device that people that have a certain amount of disposable income can get, then I think the question is, will they hit that ceiling because it's not actually something that's going to come into developing or undeveloped markets. So like if you look at something like Africa, I was just listening to a podcast the other day. Someone said that there are going to be more than 900 million phones in Africa by the year 2019, and that's a huge amount of mobile phone consumers.
Right.
So like if Apple's not going to sell iPhone there, for example, then everyone's saying, well, we talked earlier, has iPhone peaked? Then I mean, I tend to think of something like that rather than like, oh, does a 16-year-old think iPhone's cool?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so if you're not familiar, BRIC stands for Brazil, Russia, India, and China.
Yeah.
And if that's where Apple's future growth is, if that's really where they live, if that's their home, you might say that Apple is going to become a brick house.
Come on, man. Come on, dude. Can we play
That was
Brick
so
House?
good.
Can we get some Brick
That
House
was
playing
so
right now? I don't know. There's something really weird about that view, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's
I
like
think what you're talking about is more of a cachet thing, and what I'm talking about is like
raw sales,
more of
but
a
it's like
numbers thing.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. It's just like there's something particularly imperialistic about like Apple's future is forcing development to accelerate in Africa so they can sell. It's like, yeah, it's a good thing, but like there's such a disconnect there between the incentives of one party and the incentives of another. That's what I worry about. It's like I would rather have these companies be focused on inventing disruptive and cool new like technologies for like the consumers who can afford the stuff to use, instead of trying to get other markets online to afford the expensive products they already make.
But everything's going to get
I
turned
think you're
around.
exactly right.
What about the
ahead.
iPhone 5 SE?
Oh yeah, we should.
The
So,
iPhone
so
7.
here are the rumors.
Yeah.
So, and I think they all map to a thing, and I want to hear what you guys think of these phones. But I think they all map to a thing, which is a really interesting thing Apple could do to make sure their sales start going up over every quarter, is get everybody to buy a new phone every year, which is their obvious goal, right? So all the carriers in the United States have an upgrade program like Next or Edge or whatever the hell it is.
Mm-hmm.
I am on Next because it was easier to do that than anything else. So I get a new phone every year through Next. AT&T sends me a lot of thirsty text messages like, time for a new phone, and then I send them my old phone, and they're like, we didn't get your new phone, or we didn't get your old phone in the mail, we're just going to charge you anyway. And then this is true. Then I have to call them and be like, did you get my phone? And they're like, we did. So anyway, Apple released its own upgrade program to get you a new phone every year. Like their goal is to make you buy a new phone every year. Like that's what they want the top end of their market to start doing. That's one way to increase their sales. But I think that means the phone has to look different every year. I don't think they can do the S cycle that way. I think they have to go to sort of the iPod thing where like 1 year it was tall and 1 year was fat and 1 year was skinny. Like every year the iPod looked different.
I mean, with the iPod, if I had an iPod that was a couple years old, I didn't mind because I liked the way that iPad was better than the newer iterations of it.
Right. Yeah, but like
If they can get past like people needing the fastest, the highest resolution, the
I don't
best
think you want to be in
camera,
the speeds and feeds.
then
Anyway,
they could do that.
So that's just one theory. So that's
Yeah.
iPhone 7, I think, is a big deal. There's rumors it's going to have 2 cameras in the back and,
and
take
no headphone port.
really great pictures and no headphone jack. And then there's this other crazy ass rumor, which I think the name is false, but the product is true.
I love the name.
The iPhone
This is about the 5S, the 5SE?
Yeah, the 5C.
5SE?
It's 5SE.
Ridiculous name.
It's the 5 SE.
5C. No, not the 5C. What is it called?
5
5
SE.
SE. The 5C.
5SE.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they're
What-
gonna.
what if
so-
it's the
Car?
5
Don't
say?
cars do that?
What
So-
if it's the 5 say?
Yes, it's Spanish. It's
Yeah.
it's
5
flair.
special
So
edition.
their thing right now they still sell the iPhone 5S.
Yeah.
And that's the small one. That's the smallest one they sell.
I have one in a drawer.
I just
somewhere.
found mine actually in my desk.
I will say the iPhone 5 in black might be the prettiest iPhone. I always thought it
That's
was
what
the
I like,
iPhone.
space gray.
Yeah.
No, the first one was like murdered out black. It was so hot looking. Lauren, are you just slamming Cheetos into a microphone right now? What is happening over there?
Emotionally eating popcorn.
We stopped
with your
the show
cat.
to bring you back, and Lauren's like, "I'm taking photos of my cat, and I'm just gonna grind these Cheetos into a microphone." Anyhow, so they still sell the 5S.
Yeah.
And now the rumor is they're going to update the 5S design
With
to give
the-
it like curved glass,
Yep.
keep the size, and give it like
The 6S's internals. It was originally going to be the 6's internals, but now they're thinking it'll be the 6S's internals.
Right, they're just going to update it.
So it's
They're gonna
only
get
a
Yeah,
generation
faster
behind.
processor.
It will support live photos.
Yeah.
Would you buy that phone?
and
I was such a
Apple Pay.
big phone hater, like such a big phone hater. And then I got this 6 Plus, and my life is so good, and I love it so much. And the fact that they're like doing a little phone again, I'm like, wait, but I just got really happy here.
Well, but they're still
Is
going to
your
make the
life
big
good
phone.
because
I
you
know,
got
but,
the
like-
6S Plus, or was your life, or like, are they correlated? I'm curious. Because you
Wait, I
said you
missed the
got it, and
beginning.
then your life was so good, and like, I'm wondering if they just concurrently happened that way, or
No, they like, so I bought it at the Apple store because I smashed my 5S and I had to buy a new one. And they were like, oh, you have 2 weeks to return it. And I was like, okay, I know I'm stubborn. I have to get the 6 Plus. The dude was like, you're going to hate it. You're going to bring it back. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just bring it back. Like, if I hate it, but I am stubborn and I have to just like take it home with me. And it just was like in an afternoon, I fell in love, and I just don't want to go back to a small
But
phone.
you don't have to.
I
They're still going to
know.
make the big phone.
But it's weird. I don't know. I feel out of touch. You know, I don't like that.
All right. Well, I'm just going to let that one lie. Lauren, like,
well,
what's
the rumored pricing of this 5SE, which I'm now convinced is like special edition or something like the Nike Fuel Band SE.
yeah.
But the rumored price is around $450 or maybe less. So that to me is like you're looking at what, not budget phone pricing, but like at least Nexus phone pricing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know. I get that like Apple needs to increase sales. So like, there's anybody with an iPhone 5 who doesn't want to get a 6 or a 6 Plus because it's too big, and they can convince them to just like get a new phone. Will. Right. Because it's Apple and they just have so much scale. That's like 10 million people or whatever. Yep. It's like ridiculous, huge number of sales it can make. This is my mother. She won't get a big phone. She's like, thinks they're ugly, wants that same design that she likes. So Apple could just like,
I would
do it.
I would consider going back to a little phone. For
a lot of people feel
500C.
emotionally connected to little phones.
Yeah.
What?
People love
Dude,
little
did you
phones.
ever use a Veer?
No, that was a dumb phone.
No, it was great.
Can I say this? I'm not gonna reveal the big reveal. But last night I was looking through some old Engadget files. I have like 14 gigs of like Engadget stuff on my computer. I have so many videos of Palm Pre and Veer hands-ons on my computer. They're just buried in an old, like the old, it's like an old hard drive. It's like a backup of an old laptop. I have 14 gigs of like videos of like Engadget hands-ons with routers and like Priest. It's like crazy.
Yeah.
I watch so many Palm Pre hands, like various. Like, we're going to go deep in the browser. We're going to, like, play with the Veer, keep, like, nonsense.
Yeah.
That phone was dumb.
No, it wasn't.
I can say this having exhaustively researched it.
Yeah, but I used it.
Yeah. That was your main phone?
It was for a while. Yeah.
Why do you think people love little phones?
Pockets and, pockets and being used to things.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. It's just...
Exercise, I think, too.
Yeah, it is
Carry them
annoying
around with them.
to strap this thing on me when I'm exercising because it's quite large.
But my theory is they should just bring back the iPod. This is... I didn't do this, but I should have done. I was on CNBC, and what I really wanted to do more than anything is when Andrew S. Sorkin, like, held up his iPhone and was like, what's their next thing? I want to be like, Andrew, it's the iPod. And I was like all
There's a
queued
little
up
shuffle.
to do it. And they still sell the Shuffle.
Yeah.
They sell the weird
Yeah.
new Nano with like a fake iOS on it.
My friend
This one is
bought
waterproof.
If
for
they made
swimming,
an iPod with some like exercise features,
And they sell the
it,
touch.
it worked with, but it had physical buttons or the wheel, and it worked with Apple Music, and it was like
Yes.
$200 or $150.
Yes, dude.
Buy it.
That's it.
$150
That's
iPod
it.
that works with Apple Music and has got some like step counting and
Are
other
you kidding
exercise
me?
stuff.
That's the Nano
want
with Apple
this.
Music.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
But can I talk to it to tell it what to do so I don't have to press anything?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Why?
That's it.
That's
Because
an
I
iPod
said so.
Touch.
Because we're dreaming, Nilay.
Dreaming,
I
Nilay.
hate dreams. Oh, they're the worst.
Lauren, what would make you buy an iPod?
God, just having one.
I think probably if it made dinner for me.
It's ridiculous.
No, but in all seriousness, I do love this little Shuffle because it's waterproofed.
Yeah.
It was waterproofed by another company, not Apple, and it's great for swimming, and it's great for just like clipping on yourself and running when you just want some locally stored music. And like, I dig it. I feel like the iPod Touch is great for. My niece and nephew love their iPod Touches because they play games and they like
that's what the
FaceTime
Touch
at
is
4 in
for.
the morning,
Yep.
and they think it's cool. But
Wait. You get FaceTime at 4 in the morning by your niece
my
and
niece and
nephew?
nephew do that all the time.
they're on the East Coast, and so when they get up before they go to school, sometimes they will like FaceTime, and it's 4 in the morning for me, and they're like, "Auntie," and I'm like, "Oh my god, I need to teach you not just how to iMessage, but also how to tell time zone differences." But they're really cute, and but no, I mean for me, like I'm either phone or bust, like phone or something that's like has local storage and is tiny and disposable like this. I'm not
Right.
at this point. I don't think I would get an iPod without any type of cellular connectivity.
I don't know. I would the iPod Classic, the 160 gig 7th generation iPod Classic,
Yep.
right now on Amazon. Costs how much do you think it costs on Amazon right now?
Ooh, $169.
Can I cheat?
Lauren, you can't cheat.
iPod.
No
You're
cheating.
Cheating.
No cheating.
Just because we should.
I'll just be the person that tells you.
We
Ooh.
okay, fine.
reveal.
Jeter, you guess.
I'm gonna guess. $305.
No, it's higher. It's like literally it's like $500.
Yeah.
What?
It is
Yeah.
Yeah.
$509.
But the
It's
move
crazy.
is you buy a busted one and then you can put an SSD in it. There's a kit you could buy to put an SSD into an old iPod.
This is like ridiculous, and then it's super fast.
Yeah.
sounds like a great thing to write for.
The weekend. That sounds like Dieter just wrote his weekend post. No, man, I'm telling you, there's something. I just wrote this thing about like how record players and film camera, like there's something about the iPod that captured the feeling of owning some music, of like having a physical thing that you loved
Right.
that let you have. Anyway,
How long have we been Vergecasting?
Who knows?
I don't know.
By the way,
That's the funny thing about all these like digital media devices. Like we keep getting further and further into the Borg, because remember when the iPod felt like having digital music files, MP3 stored on a device it felt so like nebulous, and like you didn't own anything anymore because it wasn't CDs and there wasn't records. And now like that feels like it's a physical, tangible thing compared to the streaming services that we're using.
Well, no, because so I said, well, no, but I meant yes. I meant to emphatically agree with you.
No, yes.
But no, yes. The iPod was like a single tasking object, right? So at least it was like, this is my music.
Oh, I played a bunch of Brick Breaker on the iPod. Though.
I never did that stuff. But like it was meant, and now your phone is like, it's every object. It lacks a single coherent identity because it's everything that you do. I don't know. Anyway, and I feel like we should be playing sad music, and I should be talking about the loss of identity in the digital future.
The saddest and darkest thing, I think, is moving the phone app off of the main page that you use. Because it's just like, I'm not using that.
Wait, you don't have the phone app on your main page?
No.
Whoa.
It's on I only have 2 pages, but it's on the bummer page.
Wow.
Page 2. It's like with stocks and like the Apple weather.
Yes.
Yep.
Mine's in the
Extras.
upper left-hand corner, the corner that's hardest to reach
Yeah.
on the main page.
I'm still.
It definitely doesn't get to be on the dock.
I mean, who are you even calling?
I call Dieter. So
You guys call on the phone?
That's about it. I call Dieter and I call Becky. Those are like literally the first 2 people. That's it. There's nobody else.
What can I ask you guys what you thought about Tim Cook's remarks about virtual reality? I'm very curious.
Yeah, we talked
about
about it. Yeah. I think I don't know. The iPhone is going to be a part of virtual reality just because you can buy like the plastic holder for it. Google.
Yeah, but apparently the screen is not good for VR headsets. They need to like basically like switch to OLED and change their screen approach before it'll be good to like just use an iPhone.
Yeah, but it's going to get them in that first wave.
The first wave is here and gone.
Well, you know what I mean? That like I think what I'm saying, the Oculus wave, right? Like Oculus is going to come out. Everyone's going to be interested in it. And then there's going to be like a little cult of like VR accessories for your iPhone and apps, and like everyone's going to play with it on their, like they're going to be in that door because people have it and you can do it and it's not great. And then I think that the thing they need to do is when everyone's like, okay, this is not great, but I'm really into this, I want to try something else, then they need to be ready with the product.
Right.
And I don't know. That's sort of my very high level read on it.
God, I can't wait to hear Johnny Ive talk about like how you look not like an idiot wearing a VR headset.
Oh my God.
Like just imagine
Unapologetic.
him talking about the design of a VR headset and how amazing it is.
What I'm imagining is like Tim, like, because you know they plan their products like years in advance, right?
Yeah.
So Tim Cook was like, he had his like morning, his like 5-hour Monday meeting, and he was like, all right, guys, we've got to do a VR headset.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
No.
I'm actually just going to design the retail stores in this spaceship building, and somebody else can do that shit. And he just like refused, and that's why he's like Sir
That
Johnny,
explains the
who has
battery
no
case.
job anymore. Yeah, he's like, fuck it, I'm out. Like I'm gonna do this spaceship. I don't know, Lauren, what do you think of the VR stuff? I mean, he said it, but like what he says, it like I think he just said something relatively positive to not sound like a hater, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. It is kind of hard to imagine everyone sitting around wearing, bright white Apple branded headsets on their faces in the same way that we've been wearing the current batch of like really early solutions, whether it's cardboard or gear or whatever it may be. And by gear, I mean Samsung's solution. I think Apple could potentially have a future in serving up the right kind of video content for that, especially if they're focusing more on services and if they believe the future of like consuming content, especially TV as apps, then almost certainly some of those apps will be serving up like 360-degree video. So I see that there are a lot of potential for for Apple to be like a platform in VR, but I have a hard time wrapping my head around, no pun intended, wrapping my head around like an Apple headset.
I mean, I think that Apple would much rather do what they like. When the iPhone came out, it had amazing new technology that changed the way we thought about phones. It had a capacitive touchscreen, right? And that was like, whoa. Once you make the whole thing a capacitive touchscreen, you can do stuff that phones haven't done before. I think Apple would much rather do like some magic leap, like beam the images directly into your retinas shit than create a giant ass headset.
Right.
I think that's
But that is even
that's their
so
move.
far, that's even further from accessible to consumers.
Yeah. I don't know, a light pair of glasses that shoots lasers into my eyes. I'd rather wear that than an Oculus Rift.
But but
Just
it's Apple.
saying.
It's Apple, and they're not classically first to market.
Right.
So
they're
like-
going to wait, and they're going to wait and hope that they've got some kind of technology they built in house that gives them a leg up over what else is out there.
Yeah.
Which is the thing they didn't have with the watch.
Burn. Okay, we should talk about the next thing. Because we could go down the they don't tell us how many watches they sold hole.
Yeah, forever.
But they also didn't tell us how many watches sold, so it doesn't matter.
no.
Probably did well. Anyway, so it's true. Who knows? Who knows if that's just skyrocketing Beats headphone sales?
I'd like everyone to just take a moment
I'm ready. I'm
And
so ready
breathe.
for this.
and just accept that somebody who cares deeply about cable boxes and the software they run is about to lose his shit on the Vergecast.
It's gonna happen.
Take it away, Nilay.
Okay. There's no more fucking complicated, insane piece of technology in your home than your television and your cable box. It is ridiculous. It is. Here's what I think. It's like, there's like the fish in the ocean who are like crazy, right?
Wait,
what?
There's like go with me.
Like crazy looking
crazy
or like
fish?
crazy
You mean like down in the
acting?
Marianas Trench, like the ones with like the
Yeah, the ones who
The
light
ones with
bulb
the
at the
light
bottom.
bulb on their
Yeah,
head.
yeah,
Okay,
those
they're
ones.
crazy looking. They're not like crazy acting.
Yeah, no.
I bet they act
But there's
pretty
also
crazy.
like crazy.
I think they're totally just
Cra-
trying to eat and live.
you know,
produce.
Crazy Vinny, the fucking nonsense fish.
That nonsense fish.
Yeah,
Two light
crazy
bulbs.
acting fish. He'll kill a motherfucker. He doesn't care. Like that fish. Yeah, that
Okay,
guy.
that crazy fish in your TV. Go on.
No, so go with me on this. There's
here
a
for
fish, the bottom feeders, the extremophile fish, like evolved in crazy, weird, shitty ways. Well, great ways if you're a fish, but like not ways that you
Tighten it up. Okay.
God damn it. Nicola. Anyway, that's a cable box, right? Like there's the ecosystem that we all live in where like regular technology evolved the way that we're used to. And there's a cable box which is plugged into like the deep sea vent spewing carbon monoxide and it evolved on a different path.
Okay. I'm here.
That's a cable box. There's literally every attempt the tech industry has ever made to get in or around the cable box has failed. Like died on the rocks, almost killed the company. Like Logitech died on the rocks. Like the company almost failed and went away because they tried to build Google TVs to like get in the way of the cable box. Microsoft, I was telling Lauren last night, they put out the Xbox One. They brought me up there to do a feature. Every single person that I interviewed for that feature got fired because they tried to get in the way of the TV with the Xbox One. They're like, screw it, we're like over this. They hired a new guy, Phil Spencer, and he's like, I'm not really into this cable box features. And the Xbox One's a games console again. They like just gave
Sounds
up.
like Cable's a bully.
Cable's kind of a bully. It's really hard to get in there because it's like if I threw you into the ocean, I was like, breathe that weird stuff coming out of the bottom of the ocean, you would just die. And that is like literally the tech industry trying to get near the cable box. Every time they try to do it, they die. Apple put out the new Apple TV. They were supposed to get a streaming service. They couldn't do it because they had to breathe the weird stuff spewing out of the vent. They died and they put out the regular, like literally every time. So now the FCC.
But it seems to me like if I just might say something quickly, it seems
Yes.
to me like when tech companies started to get into this, what we call over-the-top streaming video, right, OTT video, the ideal solution was like, is there a way to make these boxes and maybe have them merge or blend with cable in some way, or get live feeds somehow, or like basically let you plug these boxes into like your cable input one, right? But now like OTT video is it.
I
that's it.
disagree
That's
with
how-
you. Like I totally disagree with you. Like it is like it's great and like people like Nicola probably don't have cable service. I think
No.
you've told me you don't have cable service.
Correct.
But
You like sports.
no, just lots of people still have.
He
cable.
did like sports until the Packers lost.
This is
the
terrible.
playoffs,
This
yeah.
show's off the rails. God damn it! Everyone's fired. No, like people, like lots of people still watch television, right? Like Game of Thrones is widely watched, and it's not just people stealing
watch
HBO
it without
Go.
cable.
But you have like you have a
HBO
stolen
now.
You have HBO. But you pay television. For
I know. I'm
right?
get on your train, man. You're right.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not saying
there's
there
a
aren't people
switch because it was
still subscribe to
so.
cable.
I think the cord cutter movement is a lot driven by the fact that like buying cable service and plugging into a cable box is an expensive, bad experience.
It's so expensive.
It's super fucking expensive,
Yep.
and then you get this thing in your house,
Yep.
and everything else in your house is like a $700 iPhone that's beautiful and does exactly what you want all the time, or a really nice laptop that works. Like everything else is evolving, and then you've got this like filter feeder that's like garbage, and you're like, why is it so expensive? I don't want anything to do with it. I'm just going to use my computer. Like that's the tension. It's not that people don't want television, and so like the OTT services we're going to deliver television. We're just going to bypass this cable system that's garbage, and we're going to deliver television over the internet, and that's going to be great. The problem is the cable companies are still huge, have millions of customers, and have a total monopoly on sports, on like award shows, on the last episode of Mad Men, like whatever the hell it is.
Things that people want to watch in real time with each other.
They have a total monopoly on real-time things with each other, and they are very good at programming like deep cuts of things. Like Shark Tank would have never been a big popular show without the money that came from the cable industry, right? Like if Shark Tank was a web series, it would have been a Silicon Valley web series and not a cultural phenomenon, and that is like just true. Or Survivor, like whatever the hell it is. Like cable companies have a bunch of monies, big networks have a bunch of money. They're great at they're good at programming shows. A lot of people want to watch them, marketing those shows. So it's this monster that you can't like disrupt with just Netflix. You can cut away at it, and then they'll get scared and like do stuff. But you have to make that thing a better experience. It has to happen. So there's like two ways to do it. And the way the cable companies have been trying to do it forever is turning their cable service into an app, so that you would buy a box, because you have to pay Comcast in the end. Like you all of us do, right? Like, or whatever cable service you have. Like you need the internet in your house, and those are the companies that provide it. So they're happy. They're going to get paid one way or another. So you buy a box. So their dream is you buy a box from them. It's like your cable modem. That will, when you're in your house, that's your router. You open the app on your iPad. It knows you're in your house, connected to their router, and it turns into a TV. Or you buy a Samsung Smart TV, and you open the Comcast or the Time Warner or whatever app on it. It knows it's in your house, on your Wi-Fi, connected to their network, and it turns into their TV with their guide.
Right.
That is what they're stumbling towards, because they don't want to ship hard drives, and they don't want to ship big boxes to your house and like have them break.
And I don't want them to do that either.
They don't either. They would rather just like be like, here's the Time Warner app.
We
like,
should all just stop.
So they're getting there. Okay. But 20 years, this is true, 20 years ago, before any of this stuff existed, Congress passed a law saying the cable companies should open up the ends of their network so that any device can access video programming services. And they said FCC figure it out. So FCC's first cut was cable card, which is like a disaster I don't want to get into because it makes me cry.
Cable card's a really good idea, though.
In 1998, cable card
1998 was a great
best
great
idea
1998 idea.
Yeah, let's like have a big silver card, you like plug it into a thing and like clamp a thing and like boot it up. Like yeah,
It was
like,
a PCMCIA card, right?
Yeah, it was modified.
Close.
Yeah, but it was like total 90s.
I was going to make
tech.
an adapter for that thing and slap it into the springboard module on a Visor Prism. I was really excited.
And then you were going to authenticate your visor to
it's
okay,
great.
whatever. You're crazy. I don't think it was called Compass.
I'm just
back
trolling
then.
you.
I hate you.
All right.
Anyway,
So cable
so
card
now they're
failed.
out. So then yesterday, Tom Wheeler of the SEC, Tom Net Neutrality Wheeler, lights up, comes out of nowhere, drops a bomb, says, "I'm opening cable boxes." He named his campaign #UnlockTheBox,
Right.
which is fine. And everyone is surprised. And because the tech industry has been trying to like get in the game with the cable companies, the programmers, like this would be great for Apple if all they had to do was put a box in your house and then suddenly your box was a cable box.
Yep.
That would be great for them because then the Apple TV would just be a cable
Apple
box.
would be great for Roku. It'd be great for Microsoft and Google, who have been desperately trying to make that box for the past 15 years.
Right. But then all of them basically said nothing yesterday. Right, Lauren. So Lauren was like talking to everybody yesterday. Like, no one like really was like overjoyed.
No, a lot of people wouldn't comment actually, and I mean, my interpretation of this is that in terms of it depends on what side of the industry you're on, right? Obviously, the cable companies were bristling more at what Wheeler had to say. One cable company said that it was a solution in search of a problem. Another one said that they feared that the proposal would strip away the tools that would honor licensing agreements as they exist now. Some people are saying, well, we are being very innovative right now. So there's that. But on the tech company side, we've gotten a lot of no comments. And I think that in terms of like the existing businesses that tech companies have in over-the-top video or in selling set-top boxes, this proposal really wouldn't do much for them because they've been fighting this uphill battle for so long anyway. I think like if you looked at something like Apple's reported attempt to put together some type of skinny bundle of channels for people to watch, like this kind of proposal might help that initiative.
No,
but
wait, why?
In terms of
Why?
because it would tear down, as Wheeler said, it would tear down the barriers that currently exist in like unlocking boxes and unlocking some of this content and making it like freer and more accessible to people.
I think those are different, right? Because Apple doing a skinny bundle is like Apple going to the programmers directly and basically being a cable company, right? And saying, okay, we've locked up ESPN, HBO, ABC, NBC, Fox, CBS. Those are all the channels you need. We'll sell them to you for $19. That turns the skinny bundle turns Apple into Comcast, right? They become your cable company.
Right. They just serve it over the top instead of over.
But that's my question. Like we're talking about 20 years ago. What about 20 years from now? Do you think that people will still be watching TV over cable and satellite? Like the actual technology will be like cable and satellite, or do you think people will be watching TV over the internet?
Well, so right now, half the cable companies deliver TV over IP.
Right.
Right. There's like multiple layers here. Like there's the transport layer, and I think everybody would like to see that to move to IP in one way or another, unless you're a satellite company, because then you've got some rocks in space to deal with. And then there's the like access layer, which is what the FCC is trying to open up, which is the one that like authenticates you to the transport. And then there's the content layer. And so like the skinny bundle, like right now everyone's sort of arguing about the access or the content layer. So Apple can't sign like the rumor was Microsoft was going to sign a deal with Comcast for the Xbox One, and Comcast walked away. Microsoft was like left holding the bag. The rumor was that Apple was going to sign a deal with Time Warner for the Apple TV, and then got skittish and walked away, and then Time Warner was left holding the bag, right? Like that's that.
But it
layer.
seems as though Wheeler's proposal wasn't just on the content side; that it actually was on the technology side of things too.
No, so it's not.
Maybe.
No, so it's not. So Wheeler's proposal is, I want you industry. The FCC is now demanding that the industry come together and form an open standard that transmits signals to every box on your network, that tells you what's available. So it gives you the guide and gives you the VOD information. It sends you the copyright settings, so do not record, which is a copyright flag you can set, and the actual content itself.
Right.
So it's technology agnostic. Right. The proposal is
make a standard for sending TV to a box, and then anybody can make the box.
right. All you have to do is authenticate the box and say, I am a customer of this company.
Yep.
And then however it delivers stuff to you,
Right.
it should do that. And like I think, Lauren, where we're getting kind of tied up here is most of the answers to that like demand look like you put a cable modem in your house, and that turns cable into internet and then sends TV to everything.
Right. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that. You could theoretically plug the coax directly into a box.
Right.
Right.
Or you could just have everything be on Wi-Fi. Like
Right.
it does like that. That's the part that doesn't matter. So Apple's skinny bundle is them turning into an over-the-top cable provider and dealing with programmers directly. Wheeler's proposal is you will pay Comcast for television, but Apple will build the interface on top of that television.
Right.
Then how does that help consumers at all? Because you're still getting bundled.
Because you don't have to use Comcast's shitty box.
Yeah, because you don't have to use your box, right? And the Comcast video content, presumably in that interface, will sit next to Netflix's video content, will sit next to iTunes video content, will sit next to Hulu video content.
All as first-class citizens in your
If this is really just about boxes, then that to me is very incremental change.
Well, no, I think it's more like if you...
But you won't have to rent the box.
You don't have to rent it's more like for a long time, you could buy a TV and just like plug it into the wall, and you didn't need a cable box, and you would just like get television from the cable company. Like that's how I grew up. Like we didn't have a cable box. We just like plug the TVs in the coax jack in the wall,
And you're done.
and we were done.
Yep.
And the TVs could decode the TV, and you could change your channels, and it was fine. And there's no innovation allowed on top of that because everything happens in the cable box now. So you can't like get a better guide. You can't search anything. You can't like I can't walk in the house and be like, Alexa,
Right.
show me the football game, and have Amazon like tune the TV to a football
Well,
game.
on top of that, I don't know. The last time, like I was at, oh my god, my mother-in-law's house. I have a mother-in-law, and using her. She's on
Dieter got married in Vegas.
Suddenlink.
Yeah.
Was the company, and the guide was 3 lines of shows, a giant like now playing like live video box, a giant info box that presented 0 information, and 2 huge ads. And I could only page through TV 3 shows at a time in the guide. And that was the only, like, it was ridiculous. It was the worst interface, and like huge ads. So not on top of like the joy of not having to use that crappy box and having cable's video content have to compete directly on the same interface with Netflix and Hulu and YouTube and whatever else. There's also like the money aspect, the money of I don't have to pay Comcast or Suddenlink $6 to rent the thing or $12 to rent the thing. I don't have to watch them get paid for ads that I never wanted and like aren't part of the core experience of what I'm doing. Like there's like the cable companies hate the boxes almost as much as we do, but they love the money that it makes.
They love that interface.
And so like they're going to fight Tom. Like I think Tom Wheeler and the FCC are going to lose. Like, I have this gut feeling that like at the end of all of this, there will be some sort of like pretend solution that they're going to make an open standard, and it's going to do the software version of what Cable Card did, which was fail radically, and only TiVo will support it.
It's probably TiVo's super into this, by the way. No, I think Google was in that mix. I've been told that Amazon has been in the mix. I think this. So Wheeler's got the votes, right? There's a vote on February 18th.
Yeah,
he's got 3 Democratic commissioners.
Wait, February 18th?
Yeah,
he's only giving
super
people
soon.
Like 2.5
This
weeks?
is like a mic drop moment for Tom Wheeler.
Right.
Like, the election's about to go, right? Like it's about to kick into gear.
Yeah.
All the focus is off Obama and onto Hillary and presumably Trump. And Wheeler's like, you know what? One last shot for Tommy. And like he's literally like, fuck it. Like I'm gonna screw with the cable companies again.
Wow.
But he's got the votes. He's got an act of Congress that says that cable companies have to do this.
Yeah.
It's a 20-year-old act of Congress, but whatever. He's got it. He's got 3 Democratic commissioners. He's just going to do it. And then the problem is what you're saying, which is if Apple and Microsoft and Google and Intel and Amazon and whoever the hell else wants to make a Samsung,
Roku.
Samsung should be huge in this.
Yeah.
Vizio should be huge in this, right? Like Samsung makes televisions.
Yeah.
If you could buy a fucking Samsung smart TV
And plug the coax right into it, and you're done.
and that's it, and then it just like
It
has
could be
the
your
interface.
Wi-Fi router. It could be everything. It
Right.
could be like the HP hub.
You don't understand.
back
This
in
is
the
like
day.
my dream.
I know, and it's really silly that it's not real.
Right?
Because it feels like it's one of those things where it's like that. If that happened tomorrow, I think every person in the world would be like, okay, I accept that that is a reality. That seems like it makes sense, and I'm happy about it.
Your TV should work with your cable service.
Done.
Right? Without their crappy box in between. That's the dream. The problem is that cable isn't internet. Right? And the problem is that because we've had these like parallel evolutionary paths for so long, every tech company is doing what Lauren is saying, and they're like building their over-the-top solutions or billions of dollars invested into them, into building streaming services and working with Netflix and talking to programmers and whatever the hell that is they're doing to make the future of television, that they might not show up to the party to build this standard.
Right.
Which then the dream, like Samsung will show up to the party. They're like, yeah, we make TVs.
Yeah.
And then
They'll be there early. They'll be those people that show up like at the time you wrote the invitation, like right on the dot. They'll ring the doorbell, and you're really pissed that they're there. That's
Oh, that's
Samsung.
me.
So here are the 2 nightmare
Don't be that
scenarios
person.
on the spectrum. As far as I can see them, there are 2 nightmare scenarios. One, FCC loses because the cable companies say, look, we're going to put an app. Comcast is like, look, we believe X1 is a platform, even though it's an iPad app. Whatever. But we believe X1 is our platform, and the way we're going to deliver your dream of getting rid of the cable box is we'll put an app everywhere. Right? And the FCC will say, great, you've now, to ensure competition in the market, you have to put an app on every platform, because the thing that we don't want you to do is sign an exclusive deal with Apple.
Right.
So if you're a Comcast customer, you have to buy an Apple TV and not a Roku.
I mean, if that happens, I'm launching a brand new smart TV platform the week after the
'cause they'll have
FCC
to
rules,
support
so
you.
they'll have to support me just to screw with
So
them.
that's a nightmare scenario, right?
Yeah.
Like, because Comcast can afford to build an Apple TV app on basically tvOS, which is basically iOS, that'll like run on the iPad. They can afford to build an Android app because Sony TVs run on Android. Then they have to build a Tizen app because Samsung TVs run on
WebOS.
Tizen. They have to build a WebOS app.
No, the WebOS app is actually really easy to build.
They still have to build
All
it
right.
because LG TVs run on WebOS.
Yeah.
Then they have to
Roku.
They have to
gotta
build a Roku app. They have to build a Windows app for Xbox. Like,
Yep.
okay, Comcast.
They have
Sounds
to
like a
build
lot of job
They have to build
creation.
a Wii app.
They have to, yeah. So that Comcast has to. That's fine. But like, what if you are Suddenlink, and now you're screwed, and like Suddenlink has to build a Tizen app, and it's like that is the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's a nightmare scenario where we're telling companies who are bad at software that they have to make more software. So that's bad. Then way on the
What
other,
if they just licensed it? I mean,
they still have to make
What
it,
if-
right? They still have to
make-
get it. They still have to brand it. They still have to bring it up. They still have to support it for all those customers on all those like.
Well, if they license it, they're going to license it from somebody bad, right? The only company that's licensed like
Well,
good
they might
smart
license
TV
it from, like,
software is like
TiVo.
TCL, right? And like you can buy a TiVo from Suddenlink, right?
Yeah. So like they could, yes, it's true, but it's still fundamentally these companies have to acquire
Yeah.
or develop software and then support the software, and then that's the nightmare scenario of TiVo releases an update to the TiVo core software that's licensed to Suddenlink, and Suddenlink doesn't support it for like 8 years.
Right.
And then it's like an internet box in your house, and it has like security issues, and then suddenly like the hackers are watching the webcam in your ridiculous Panasonic plasma TV. It's all bad. All of that's bad, right? Nightmare scenario. All the way on the other side is saying, okay, you're a video provider, and we're saying every box should access your shit. And Comcast is like, okay, we're a video provider, and we're opening up the front end of our network so every box can access our shit. Our biggest competitor is Netflix. They get to pick and choose their platforms. Why do you make it so anyone can be able to build a fucking Netflix app? And like that's also a nightmare scenario.
Actually, that sounds great.
Why would you randomly force Netflix to open the front end of its service?
I would love that. As long as
Why?
like you're authenticated to like be paid, put a copyright protection on, do it.
That seems insane to me.
Why?
Because Netflix is like a private company.
No.
Yes.
It's a video company. I mean, yeah, like they're a private company, but like what if Comcast were private, right? Like like it's not private versus public. It's like, you know, let other people make it
just
up.
like, but this is
Do you
the thing
believe
that
that
they
third-party
sell.
Twitter apps should be allowed? Do you believe Twitter should be forced to allow third-party apps to access tweets?
I think Twitter should just fade away. Like, honestly, like I think that light bulb should start flickering and maybe like fade out a little bit. We can have like a romance period at the end where it's real dim. We all
Yesterday
remember. We
was
all
a
remember
beautiful day
what
for
happened to you
Twitter.
yesterday. This is another
Oh,
big news of
God.
the week. You know, Nicola's having a Twitter renaissance.
It's actually my first Twitter love time. It's not new to me. Like I joined Twitter like most people when it started and was like, okay, whatever. And then I only started using it because of this place,
Yeah, because of The
place here.
Verge or Vox Media.
Vox Media, but mostly you guys. Like a year ago or whatever. And now, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And it's so funny because you keep being like, Twitter's dead. And I actually had lunch with someone yesterday who was like, I'm having so much fun on Twitter in the last month. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And then when I left the lunch, Kanye's tweet storm, which
Yeah.
was beautiful
Yeah.
All right.
and the best. And also, like, I mean, it was great.
We got to wrap.
No, we got to wrap. I'm just saying, the Netflix question.
Yeah.
Do you think Hulu should allow any video app to sit
Yes,
on the
I
front
do.
of its server? Like, that's I think a radical position.
I don't think so.
Okay, because that turns every video provider into a dumb pipe.
Yep.
So, like, you're saying that Netflix should accept a future where the thing that it is
The thing
It's
that
just
it
a
isn't
dumb
an app.
provider
Is
of video
Netflix its
information.
interface or is it the video content it provides?
That's a really excellent. That's it. Kids, tweet at Backlon with your answer to that question, preferably in tweet storm format or with a screenshot of text that's not accessible by search engines. Dieter loves that. That's his favorite. Silo your content and
Okay,
send it
so
to Dieter,
those are the two
please.
nightmare scenarios.
Those
And
are the two
sure,
nightmare
I'll
scenarios.
agree that they're both nightmares. Fine. You hate openness. That's cool.
I don't hate. I'm just saying that is like all of a sudden you're so mad at Comcast that you're fucking with Netflix. Like that is crazy town,
Yeah.
right? Like that seems like now.
I mean,
we're-
Netflix is dead to me because they joined Binge on, so screw those guys.
I mean, of course they're going to.
Yeah, I know, of
And-
course
but
they are.
like,
And
I'm
Binge on
just
is
saying-
better now today. They made it. You can text a short code to turn it on and off.
I think I'm mellowing. I'm like surprisingly okay.
Is the short code throttle?
Text
Throttle.
You actually you tweet the word throttle directly at John Leisure.
Yeah.
And he goes. He's got a panel. And he's got a net neutrality panel. And he's
With
like
all
flipping
of
the
his
thing.
users. Yeah.
My God. Anyway, I think I'm mellowing. I think I'm fine with Binge on.
Yeah.
I got one policy fight in me a year, and this one's going to be it. Whatever. you want to be a T-Mobile subscriber and let John Ledger like slow your data down? Like Godspeed.
I can't tell if I'm a T-Mobile subscriber or not.
What does that mean?
Because I use a service. I use an MVNO that uses T-Mobile.
Oh yeah, Fi, right?
Right. So does that mean
Oh.
I can't tell.
My God.
All right. We have no time for lightning round. We could do one lightning round thing.
Yeah,
You're
Nicola,
like,
you've got some stuff.
one thing.
I mostly want to do Nicola's Kanye corner always.
Do it. Well, yeah, get in the tweet storm situation. Tell me about
Well,
it.
first let's back up. Kanye renames album from Swish to Waves.
Yes.
Point 1 to know.
Yeah.
Point 2 to know. February 11th. We're just going to do this. February 11th,
That's
he will
great.
debut Waves at Madison Square Garden. He also will debut Yeezy Season 3, his fashion collection. Point 3. He tweets a picture of Kim. Okay, he tweets a track list. You should know that. He tweets a picture of Kim wearing like Season 3 like preview look, and it has Adidas logos on it. But Adidas produced the first season, did not produce the second season, and won't really tell me if they're producing the third season, though I'm asking.
Yeah.
So like what is their involvement with this? So yeah, February 11th is gonna be crazy. Tomorrow on Ticketmaster, if you have a Amex, you can do a pre-sale thing and buy tickets to this. I don't know what they cost. They're listed as $0. Hope it stays at $0. Love the idea of doing it for the kids free, but who knows? So that's gonna happen. That's gonna be crazy and like the best and whatever. And then the tweet storm was deleted, but you can definitely read it on The Verge, right? You guys
It's
saved
on
it.
theverge.com. Yep.
But basically,
That's what Twitter is for.
Kanye went off on Wiz Khalifa. They have a romantic partner in Amber Rose in common. And
Not a current romantic.
No.
partner.
Kanye
Right.
and Amber Rose dated, whatever. And Wiz and Amber Rose have a child. And yeah, he went off on Wiz for just like sucking. And then he also was like, but you wear cool pants and I wish
Yeah.
I was tall and skinny.
And he had a hashtag.
Like you. Yeah, Wiz wears cool pants, which is just like, it's the best. It was the best. It was
It was a real
best.
moment. It really brought the house down all day.
It really did.
Like-
I got back. I had a really long lunch, and I got back to the office, and I sat down, and like everyone just looked at me, and they're like, "Where have you been?"
Yeah.
Like, we have so much to talk about.
Well, he was like, I made it so we could wear skinny jeans.
Yes, I made it so we could wear skinny jeans.
It's amazing. I mean, like that, of all of the things to brag about in your life, you're like, I made it so we could wear skinny
Also,
jeans.
it's not the best album of the year; it's the best album of life.
I mean, I love the dude. I will say that I saw so many people riff on the I made it so we could wear skinny jeans yesterday that
Oh, I know. The internet got really so
Yeah,
good.
it was good.
Fast
It was
and
good.
beautiful.
Again, another John Fort reference. His tweet was, I made it so finance reporters could wear a jacket and no tie. It's just like super funny to
I
me.
wish I had made one. Damn
Yeah.
it.
You got, the window's still open.
Okay.
No, actually, no, the window's closed, but it will open again for like callback time.
One of my goals is to be better at making memes.
2016, everybody.
Anything could happen.
Wait, like you want to participate in the meme culture? Or you
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
start?
yeah.
You want to kick one off?
No, I want to participate.
We can. You know, we have a meme generator at the company.
I
right?
know, but my brain got to get there.
Brain got to get there. 2016. All right, that is our show.
That's got to be it.
Brain got to get there. That is clearly the title of our show. I don't think that there's another choice. I'm not going to tell the audio listener why I'm saying this, but the kids know. Thanks to the YouTubers for sticking with us.
Yeah.
Anyhow, that's our show. We have many more shows. Lauren has a new show. Lauren, plug your show.
It's called Too Embarrassed to Ask, and it's a podcast. I do it with Kara Swisher of Recode. It is actually a Recode radio show, and you can find it on iTunes and on TuneIn, I believe, as well.
Yeah, it's really fun.
It's available on Fridays. It's really fun. It's a consumer tech focused show. We answer some reader and some listener questions, but we've also had some pretty cool guests in so far.
Microsoft fan Sinofsky was on.
Yeah.
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 And this week we have the founder of Athos, which is a really interesting wearable tech company. They're building technology directly into clothing. And so we talked to him. That's going to be publishing first thing tomorrow morning on iTunes.
Awesome. Then we have 1,000 other Verge shows every day, and just the few. So
ESP is back weekly.
ESP is back with Liz and Emily.
Yep.
Chris Plant, What's Tech, rock and rollin'. And then Walt and I do Control Alt Delete, which is super fun. We also talked about Apple and Twitter this week, in case you didn't get enough. And then there were some sick burns at the end. Walt just burned HP and Carly Fiorina to the ground at the end of that show. Just went for it. Anyway, so that was good. There's a bunch of ways to access us on social media, including Twitter, which is either dying or having a renaissance, depending on who you're listening to. You can find Nicola on Snapchat.
Nicola Fumo, all together.
All together. You can find The Verge on Snapchat. We're at Verge. You can find us on Instagram. We're at Verge. Where else? And Facebook. Our Facebook video program, popping off, by the way. Million view videos left and right every week. Really good time. And on YouTube at The Verge, we're really close to 1 million subscribers.
Get
I
there.
would love it if you would make your friends.
What about Pinterest? Are you guys on Pinterest?
We have 1.3 million Pinterest followers, and we don't know what to do with them. If you know what to do with our Pinterest followers, by all means, let me know.
Yo.
I have an email address, and you can write me an email to that address. But no, seriously, go to your friends' computers when they're not looking and subscribe them to The Verge on YouTube. Get us to that 1 million mark by hook or by crook. Anyway, that was our show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your thoughts about the FCC, Dieter. I'm telling you, man, this is our year.
Rock and roll.
Brain better work.
Damn it.
Goodbye.